Hello, my name's Elizabeth Jones, and here we have
Cal Kaplan.
Cal and I are going to have another one in our continuing conversations about biblical psychology. And in this conversation, I was wondering about the biblical God versus the Greek gods. Here we have two very different conceptions
Of God and of nature, too.
of God and of nature. Yes.
And of the impersonal forces of fate and necessity, what the Greeks call Moira and Ananke.
Well, they really don't affect the biblical narratives too much, but they have a great effect on the Greek narratives and the Greek myths.
Well, the Greek gods are really not omnipotent at all. They're themselves either controlled by nature or by fate and necessity. You can see that in some of the later plays, like Aeschylus is playing Prometheus Bound. Zeus himself is steered by the forces of fate and necessity. It's the impersonality of it. The biblical world, which are more familiar to people, says that God comes first and creates the heaven and the earth.
Well, that's Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
Now,
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the
Many
earth.
people mumble this every week, and they have no conception of what it means, but it's one of the most radical statements that one can possibly imagine, because here we're like fish swimming in a big bowl or an ocean, and we're looking at this ocean and we're saying, that's not everything. And something outside the ocean created that ocean, as opposed to the Greeks who saw the ocean as everything that they're in, and their nature is everything, and that even the gods are products of the sexual union between, say, a female nature force earth and a male nurturing force sky, Uranus and Gaia, the earth mother. So the gods themselves are like basically superheroes who are determined by earth and sky, who have the real power. And I think that that's a very, very different conception, because, when we ask ourselves, the intelligentsia says, they turn their nose up and say, God, what is God, Well, you can reverse that and say, nature, what is nature? I mean, people use the word nature as if it's a given what nature is. I don't know what nature is. Now, the traditional Jewish point of view by Nachmanides, called the Ramban in Spain, is that God created nature to provide order for human beings, and the human beings need some kind of natural order. Otherwise, say gravity is a law of nature. God provides this, if you're a religious soul, to give order to man. Otherwise, you wouldn't know whether you're drinking your coffee, if it would go up or down, etc. So these natural orders are God's gift, but that God can intervene in the natural order and create what we think are natural changes, but which really, from a biblical point of view, are miracles within nature. He does things to change this. Now, I've had this experience, but sometimes I've lost something, and I can't find it. I'm looking for it for hours, and all of a sudden it appears. Was it really not there, and was it really there all along, or was it not there? And then it reemerged there. I mean, it sounds silly, but a lot of things I correct that in nature, and we assume that it's our own silliness when we observe it, but maybe it's not. Maybe things happen that there's an unseen force in nature that makes nature do particular things. So that unseen force operates within nature, but that doesn't mean it's controlled by nature. I think that's the biblical view, that God is more powerful than nature, so that things which occur within nature are not caused by nature. Now, there's a prayer they say in the synagogue, which is called in Hebrew Adon Olam, and it means before the world. And it means before the world, there was God.
Yes.
So that's a profound statement. Before the world, there was God. So what is this world? The world is creation of God. So that is a difference. That's a different conception of the origins of the world. Now it gets mixed up with all this, oftentimes silly arguments between creationism and evolution. But I don't think that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the conception of the world as is.
Well, from what I understand, we've had many conversations about this in the past. Which is more powerful, is God more powerful or is nature more powerful? Which
Right.
has
And which view,
holds the winning hand?
well, when you hold those hands winning hand, which holds the winning hand in terms of its implications for man, for human being? Let's supposing we don't know whether God or nature is more powerful, but which view is more empowering for a human being?
Absolutely.
Maybe that's the more important question to ask, because I'm less interested in the ultimate truth of these statements, and more interested in how these various views can
impact you and me
Yeah.
and the rest of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Cal.